Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, the place for techies and non-techies who work in the techie world whose work-life balance plan has imploded. We're here to provide solutions that will help both the techie and non-techie live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hi, this is Joanne Victoria, your host of the Sanity Project podcast with another amazing episode. Our guest today is Carnellia Ajasin, and she is the owner of mindkatalyst.com and resides in Atlanta. By profession, she is a technology strategist, developer, designer, business and startup advisor, and founder of Mind Katalyst, that's Catalyst with a K, a technology and design innovation strategy firm for Fortune 500 companies and small businesses with leaders who dare to embrace bohemian solutions to problem or futurists who dare to imagine the impossible and manifest it. What Carnellia is going to help us today with is helping entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs go from idea to tech product, market fit, and everything in between. Welcome to the show, Carnellia Ajasin.
Thank you so much, Joanne, for having me. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm grateful that you are here because you're giving another perspective to our techies and non-techies who work in the tech world, but who need to know what to do, what their next or first step is when they think they have a product that they want to take to market. So how can you help them with that?
So first of all, many people already have an idea of what they want to do in terms of a product, but aren't really aware that it is that, in fact, an idea. Take, for instance, I had a client actually a few days ago, and we had a meeting about something different, a different product that she was looking to develop. And I noticed, and sitting in front of her, she worked through 3 different applications to solve 2 business needs that she had urgently in terms of her bill processing, in terms of billing clients. And so I was saying to her, that's a product. The fact that you have to use 3 different products to, because they're not one on their own, they're not sufficient. She had to use 3 different ones to solve a business need that she had in front of her on a regular quarterly basis in terms of billing her clients. And so, we talked about the fact that she already had an idea right there in front of her that she's been manifesting while using 3 different products when she could just use one. So I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs, people in general, solopreneurs, have this sort of situation where they're using an application, let's say for banking or for scheduling babysitters or Uber or whatever that may be, and it's not quite. There's a need that it just doesn't quite fill for them, and so when you have that need that's not met, that is an opportunity, because more times out of 10, you're just not the only person who has that same need that's not met. And so what we do is we help clients to go from idea to market. And so what we do with that is the first step is to help you to finesse your idea. And in finessing that idea, we actually go through what the problems are, because you have to start with a problem as opposed to start with an idea, because everything is about problem solving. So if you're able to solve a problem through the product that you're developing, you have a better likelihood of success because other people other than yourself most likely have the same exact problem that you have. And then we go through the design process, after the design process, development, and then help with customer acquisition, meaning getting customers into your product, then go to market.
That sounds thorough, to say the least. And I think what's interesting is that people already have solutions to the problem, but they just haven't defined what the problem is that they're solving. Is that something of what you're saying?
Yes, and that's why the first step is always to finesse that idea, to kind of look at who those users are, that you're solving the problem for. What exactly is the problem that you're solving in terms of functionality, features, and I always tell people, when you're using accounting applications or even a spreadsheet, you have Google spreadsheets, you have Excel, you have other types of spreadsheets out there in the market. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the Google spreadsheet resonates with, you, the user, more so than Excel. Some people are Excel users and some people are Google spreadsheet users. I had a client who she just despised Google spreadsheets. She just didn't like using it. So, for her, Excel was the way to go, and she's always used it, and that's what she wanted to continue using. So sometimes the product may just be aesthetics. It may just be the way it looks, the way it functions, the way it appeals to someone visually. That could be a great differentiator for your product as well.
Yeah, I think that's important because, for example, I have a scheduling app that I use, which is Acuity Scheduling, and there are so many scheduling applications out there. It took me a while. I tried one, I tried another, and they just didn't appeal to me. It just didn't resonate. It didn't have that intuitive feel to me. And I function on intuition a lot, and it had to resonate. And if a product doesn't resonate, you're not going to have any buyers.
You're not. I mean, you'll have buyers, but you'll have buyers who that resonates for. And then other people will have other buyers who their product resonates for. Like you said, Acuity. I also use Acuity, and for the same reasons that you outlined in terms of, just being, an intuitive, intuitive product. So the others that are on the market, I had an admin last year who she hated Acuity. She didn't like it. So, so it just didn't resonate with her. But that doesn't mean that, there aren't enough users or buyers or customers for Acuity.
Right.
The others out there, it really depends on it resonating from person to person.
And I think the creator of Acuity came from Microsoft. So those of you who are listening right now and have thoughts and ideas about bringing a product or creating a product, designing a product, and wanting to know how to take it to market, the person you're listening to is the one right now. Carnellia is the one who can help you with this. I know some of you are excited by listening to this because it's a little different than what I usually have my guests talk about. But again, it's on the spectrum, so we're here with it. So what do you do, Carnellia, when more than one person shows up with similar products or ideas?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's fine. I mean, most people get kind of spazzed out about that. Oh, I don't want somebody to steal my idea, or, I'm afraid that someone will steal my idea. And the point is that really, I always tell clients that, the potentiality of someone stealing your idea, and I put that in quotes, are very low because, your way of doing things is completely different than my way of doing things. I mean, if either of us had an opportunity to redo Uber as it relates to our personal experience, Joanne and myself, your experience, your user interface would most likely be very different than how, what mine would look like because of my approach, your approach, my experience versus your experience, the things that I needed or required from the Uber application versus you. Everything will be different in terms of those types of aesthetics, those types of user experiences also plays into, the development of your product as well. So, to me, it doesn't really matter if somebody else has the same idea as you or not. It's really, again, about how things resonate, functionality, features, how it resonates with the intended users and from what perspective. So your perspective would be from your perspective in terms of being a user or creator or developer of your product, as well as mine would be from a different perspective based on my needs and my expectations and specifications.
I think that's important that people know that because you might have a newbie who has this great idea and yet they're, maybe not worldly enough to know that, every idea has multiple uses or multiple inventors and different perspectives, as you're just talking about with Uber. And they need to know that they can be safe with someone like yourself as opposed to just talking amongst their friends who are most likely to pick up the idea and run with it anyway.
You also have NDAs. I mean, we sign with every client that we work with, we initially, before we get on the phone and even start the conversation, we have them sign an NDA, and we sign a mutual NDA such that we are protecting ourselves and protecting our clients from, that type of thing. We get ideas and people share ideas with us every day, it's several times a day. So we have to make sure that we're not, of course, sharing that information out with just, mere strangers, of course. But also in a group setting, when I do workshops every so often with clients or potential clients, and I get that experience where a lot of people really are kind of held back and don't really want to share their idea in a group setting.
Right.
And so the thing about it is that, really, it takes time to develop a product. So again, their product idea is just not going to be the same that you had intended if somebody does, quote unquote, try to take your idea and run with it. They'll run with an idea, but it typically won't be the exact idea based on what your mindset was in terms of developing it.
Yeah, just like trying to get a film done. You present them with a treatment, a one-page treatment, and then the movie is nothing like what the treatment was.
And that's exactly right, because most people, when they start developing their product idea, or even finessing it, the first stage of our process anyway, by the time we get to development stage, it is not the same thing as it was when we started with the design phase. So that's usually the case, really probably 95% of the time. So, having this fear of not sharing, because that's the thing too, is that people have to realize that other people help your product to grow, right? So if you look at Twitter, Facebook, some of the well-known products that we know out in the market today, when they first came on the market versus today, when you look at them, you look at how they function, how they looked, the user experience, the UX design, completely different. And how did they get that way? It got that way because of the users input, users feedback, that users complaints, users praise. So that's what, helped those products and most products in the world today to evolve and over time. You really need that input from people. And so if you're kind of afraid to do that, you really hinder the growth of the product.
So you would suggest if you did a workshop presentation at a company with a group of people and somebody's got an idea, that instead of grabbing you to talk in the corner at the end of the presentation, is to speak up now in front of the group, because it will only move the synapses in everybody's brains to help contribute to the process. Is that is that what you're talking about a little?
Absolutely. It's really a collaborative process. Usually for us, when we go into a corporate setting, when we go to corporate clients, it's just the clients who are part of that particular company, of course. But if we're working in like a seminar or workshop where we're working with entrepreneurs, and each entrepreneur is of their own product and company and representing themselves in that setting, we typically see that type of fear in those types of settings as opposed to a corporation. But either way, it still behooves you to solicit the feedback and information from those around you, because it really just helps to make the product more robust, and it helps to have more brains and more ideas on it than just yours.
Yes, and that's what people have to understand. The listeners here, I want you to hear what Carnellia is saying, because there's no fear in announcing what you're doing to a group of like-minded people, especially people who are in a similar field, so that they can contribute to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, people are in such fear. Oh, I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want you to know because you may give it away. And then, with all you said at the beginning of our conversation, is that, again, it's about perspective. It is about how the customer uses the product.
Yeah, because you may have a client or a user who is a disease generation, right? And then you may have a client or user who is 65 years old. And so we know very well that the perspective of how they use it will be completely different. So given, the demographic, or given how and who you wanted to target, you may have various UX, UI implications or considerations that you can actually tweak your system, your app to actually have as part of the features functionality. The other thing that I want to mention as well is that a lot of times, we're about getting the product out into the market as soon as possible. And so in a lot of cases, whether it's an entrepreneur situation or an entrepreneur situation, people want the product to be perfectly ready to be put out into market space. And again, that's another red flag, another issue, another thing that actually stops people from moving forward and getting the feedback that they need from early adopters. And so you need to get that feedback from early adopters as soon as possible and not wait for the product to be perfect. No product is ever perfect. Again, looking at Facebook, Twitter, some of the well-known products that are out there, the way they looked back then versus today was from the gracious complaints as well as comments and feedback from users. And so you want to get that same type of feedback and information and contributions as well to help you to formalize and make your product the best it can be.
I think fear enters into it with entrepreneurs because they are so used to either, working by themselves or with a small group of people that giving up, quote unquote, their content, their idea, their thoughts, their ideas is frightening, that they think they're going to lose what they have spent a portion of their life creating and designing.
Yeah.
And people have to get over that.
Yeah, it's a journey, not a destination. So it is a journey. It takes time, and you have to be in it for the long haul and see it as such, that it's not a journey, a destination. It's not, okay, we got it out. Oh, that was great. Now we're done. No, you're continually getting feedback and comments and complaints to help you to enhance the product. And so, you need to be open to that going in. So if you're open to that going in, that when you do let it out and release it, your first release anyway, to the market space, that it's not finished. You're just now getting the contributions that you need to make it the best it can be. And you'll continue to do that as an ongoing iterative process.
So let's say the first step is someone calls you mm-hmm. and they have an idea, and you or whoever on your staff has a conversation, and you both agree to sign an NDA, and then you move forward. What's the second step? Actually, I've just mentioned 4 steps, but
right, and those were the steps that we make.
And that's what you're all about, is letting people know that more is involved than just the idea.
That's right. You have to actually go through the entire process to get your product to a place where you're ready to put it out into the market space. So the process that we take, like you said, the first step is to we have to protect your idea, right? So it's that whole getting your mutual NDA signed and then getting that back from you. And then we do something called a consultation and project discovery. And so when we do that, we're basically defining the value proposition of the product. And so identifying what the constraints are, what the requirements are, what the problem statements are, and what you feel the solution is for the product that you're looking to develop, right? So we're looking at maybe some of the key opportunities, maybe some high-level features and functionality. And so we don't really get into the growth hacking at this point. That's more later on in the process, but we just kind of try to understand, what you're trying to develop and why is it important to you to get it out into the market space. Who are the users? What's the problem that you're solving for those users? And then we look into the user interface experience. So we're, kind of looking at that. We'll do some research on some of the information that we got from you in terms of the problem, the stated problem, the users, and the potential solutions. A lot of times, because we're not just, we're in the innovation space, so we don't just do software applications, or, we also look at emerging technology spaces and platforms. Most people think when they come to us that, I want an app built. And that's such a limiting way to think about technology. You may have an idea for a technology, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be on a mobile device platform, i.e. phone. It may be that it may be better served if it's on virtual reality goggles or augmented reality goggles, or it may be better served as a Internet of Things, some sort of hardware and software integration. So a lot of times people aren't thinking that. They're thinking, I have an idea for an app on my phone. So most times for me, my job is to really help people kind of broaden their perspective on, their product idea, because it may be that it may not be best served solely on a mobile phone device, but it could possibly be even a wearable. It may be a bra, it may be a phone, maybe a watch or a piece of jewelry that could be smartized and then made, if that's a word, and made into something that could be beneficial to the users and clients that you had intended the problem to be solved for.
I think your experience at all of these companies, Ernst & Young, Gemini, Oracle, et cetera, has probably given you a lot of insight as to how to approach these people, plus your own innate talent and intuition. What would you suggest people do? Let's just say somebody's listening. I'm sure more than one are listening, and they have this idea, so they call you. How far along did they need to be in their process in order to have an intelligent conversation with you and your staff?
Most times people are, it runs a gamut. I mean, we have clients who are, even if it's a corporate client, we help them with the whole design sprint process, and then we take them all the way to where they can get to have a junior designer, then implement it with the build team, that's an internal build team. Some people have just an idea, just a raw idea. They need to help kind of flush the idea out, pros and cons, do some research around and make sure that it's a viable idea that it's worth spending time, money, energy into to pursue. And some people unfortunately have ideas who they've gone to a dev shop in offshore and have not had the best experience. And they come to us with a piece of an idea that's half developed and half not developed. So we've had all kinds of types of clients come to us in various situations. So it really doesn't matter how they come in. We've also had clients who have a product already developed in-house and in a corporate setting, and they needed a refresh. They wanted to take it outside to get fresh new eyes and ideas on it to make it look different and function differently. And so we did a refresh on the UX UI design of it, and then handed it back to the internal house of the company, so they can go from there and do all the back end development on it. So we've had clients come to us from different perspectives.
Are there any things that are out in the working world of tech right now that you've worked with, or clients that you've worked with, that you can mention, or is that not?
I can really just mention, we've worked primarily in areas such as Internet of Things. We've worked on kiosks for clients. We've worked on that integrates with mobile devices. We've worked heavily in the fintech space, banking in the fintech space with heavy use of blockchain. Of course, a lot of data security around products as well. We've done some recent products that we're developing in the ed tech space for educational purposes, global in nature. And we're getting into a few products that we're about to work on in the healthcare technology space as well.
Yeah, healthcare seems to be a big market right now in all arenas.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else can we talk about that will help our listeners?
Let's see. So I think another thing that would be helpful for users, for listeners, is to think about how they might approach technology. Because as I mentioned before, it may not necessarily be that it could be best served as a mobile application or software even. It may be that you may want to also consider other platforms, some of the emerging platforms such as augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, Internet of Things, even machine learning and artificial intelligence. You may want to think about other types of technology that your idea may benefit in terms of enhancing its functionality and features.
What do you see for the future of what you are doing?
The future of what I'm doing. So I am, and it's not just what I see; it's what we're developing. So we're developing an online platform, more of a virtual accelerator, where clients, no matter the location, can work with us in a group setting, as opposed to those who fly us out to come out and work with them or work with them individually. Mm-hmm. I do have clients who want to work in kind of smaller silos with us. And so we work very remote with a lot of our clients around the globe. And so we're developing our own virtual accelerator right now so that we can actually push that methodology that we're working together more fluently in the market space right now.
Well, it sounds as if you're the forefront of all that's going on in the tech world as far as what you can do, what you can provide for a new client, new customer, and your existing clients and customers. So what would you say, besides calling you right away or emailing you at ajasinc@mindkatalyst.com, because I think that's really important, because I hope some of our people are excited, because I don't know about, well, I know some of what you're talking about, but not all of it. And I'm excited. I think you're a great individual for people to talk to, or whoever they talk to on your staff, about something that they have an idea about that would help in the world of health, technology, psychology, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. So what would you tell them to do first, right now?
Yeah, well, I say right now, I would think about what is it that you're trying to design and develop, and why. Why do you feel that this is a necessary product that the world needs, or your business environment needs, or your customer base needs? And so I think once you narrow down the why, really that problem statement to me is very important. I'm just not, it's not about just developing products in the tech space for tech space sake. It's really about purpose, about, why you're doing this. And then narrow that down as much as you can. And then you can give us a call, and we can help you out to flesh it out even more and finesse it, even fine tune it even more so.
So they can get it to you at Mind Katalyst with a K.com. That's MindKatalyst.com. I usually spell, because people don't hear things as I say them sometimes. So it's a great name. It's a great word twist. And I think people should contact you as soon as possible if they even have a thought about of an idea. And the first thing for them to do is to remember what's in it for them, what's in it for your user, because that's what needs. They're the buyers.
Yeah, they are the buyers, and even if you need to supplement or augment your staff with us, we'd be happy to do that as well. We do that quite a bit with our clients, and that they already have staff in their wheelhouse, and then we supplement their staffing as well. So like you said, we're always focused on, what does a user need? And so if we stay focused on that, you're able to solve a problem for them, and that's where the money is.
That's where the money is, and I think that's what people are doing these things for, unless they are just doing it because they're bored. But I think that a lot of people have a lot of good ideas, and they just never bring it to market because they're afraid it's going to fail, and they're afraid that they don't have enough intelligence within themselves to be able to do it. And that's what Carnelia's company, mindkatalyst.com, will be able to help you for. I want to thank you, Carnellia, for being here today, because it's been an amazing mastermind, I would say, presentation, and this is what people need to hear today. And I want to remind people to go to my website at askjoannevictoria.com. There's plenty of free things that you can get, and some things that cost some money, but you always find a great solution on my website, askjoannevictoria.com. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you back soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Work-Life Balance. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.